my name is Kat Milligan, and I want to talk to you about the first principle of Unitarian Universalism and movement and dance. See, I believe that the human body contains vast amounts of knowledge and wisdom, and that when we pause and take a moment through movement to listen to our bodies, we find that wisdom. This relates to the first principle of Unitarian Universalism, which is the inherent worth and dignity of every person, by affirming that each person has something to say, not just with their voice, not just with their writing, but with their whole entire body. And when we listen to that bodily wisdom, it's a deep wisdom. When we listen to that bodily wisdom, we hear the language of the soul. We hear the language of the spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's that deep language that is often not able to be expressed through words. You know, I often ask myself, am I a Unitarian Universalist? And I expect that I'll probably ask myself this question throughout my life. And the one thing that keeps me coming back to Unitarian Universalism time and time again is those seven principles. Because I'll always be a seeker, and I hope that I'm always a seeker. But these ideas of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, of the interconnected web of all beings, that always remains with me. But I have to feel it in my body to be able to affirm it through my actions. Embodied wisdom is really something that I developed based off of a form of movement practice called authentic movement. It starts with asking a question, such as, what does it feel like to know, wholly and completely, that I am one who is deeply loved? Not easy questions, right? So the way we get about this is we start lying on the floor, because we establish that connection with the ground. It's so much easier to establish that connection deep within ourselves. And we don't just start to move. We don't just say, okay, what does this feel like? You just take a moment and you breathe. And you begin to think about your body being in dialogue with itself, so cells to tissues, tissues to bones, bones to muscles, muscles to skin. And then you think about opening that dialogue to the environment around you, to the ground, to the air, to that, stop sign you can see from your window, everything. And it's in this communication, this open attention, that usually a spark for movement comes. And you follow that spark. And that's all that you do. You follow that spark. And you follow that spark. And at some point, sometimes it's not until the very end of your practice. And sometimes you get there and you really have to say, okay, I only had a taste of that. I'm going to have to come back to this question again. But you follow that spark and you begin to find answers that your mind wouldn't come to, that you wouldn't be reading in a book and you would say, oh, okay, that's the answer. Got it, I can move on. But you find that answer in your body. And it's very hard to argue with that. It's very hard to argue with, oh, when I roll up to standing, I feel the presence of God, of love, of life holding me. That is always with me. Every time I fall down, I feel that presence as I roll up. If you feel it, it's very hard to argue. So, here's the beauty. If my body has wisdom, then your body has wisdom. Simple enough. So if my body can tell me what it feels like to be deeply loved, then your body can tell you what it feels like to be deeply loved. And we have a dialogue. We have a conversation. And in that conversation, I see you. You see me. And it is such an open sense of humanity developing between us, of feeling that we have differences and we're not trying to pretend that we don't have differences, but saying that, wow, our bodies hold such wisdom, and I see that in you, my friend. And that's the radical spirit. Do you feel it?